The Austro-Hungarian Navy is often dismissed as a minor player, and often I heard that its contribution to the war effort was negligible. But is this a fair assessment? It is a well-known fact that the Austro-Hungarian Navy did not engage in many battles in the mid to late war period. However, stating that the Navy was pointless or useless is wrong in my opinion. And let me make my case. In the beginning of the war, they did engage in offensive operations, such as the bombardment of the French and Montenegronian forces at Cattaro, or the Battle of Durazzo, the raid of Ancona, or most interesting event was for me the siege of Tsingtao in China. Yes, you heard me right, the Austro-Hungarian forces and Navy were fighting against Japan in China during World War I. Then on the late war period, the 5 raids on the Otranto barrage. Once Italy entered the war, the Austro-Hungarian Navy was heavily outnumbered by the Italian, French, British Navy. Hence, they changed their strategy from an active mission fleet to be a fleeted being. This meant that a considerable Entente fleet had to be kept in the Mediterranean Sea in case the Austro-Hungarian Navy would ever leave the port. But this only applied to their capital ships, such as dreadnoughts and heavy cruisers. The torpedo boats, small surface units, submarine fleet was very active and fighting, patrolling throughout the Adriatic and the Mediterranean Sea. If you are interested in the wartime activity, make sure you check out my video about them. I'm gonna put the link in the description. But in short, the submarine fleet was very active and successful compared to their modest size. The smaller ships, such as patrol boats, torpedo boats, and airplanes of the Navy were patrolling the coastline of the monarchy, while the submarine fleet supported by the present German Navy were striking ships outside of the Adriatic Sea. Let's talk about what actually meant fleeted being. Opposite to the popular misconception, it did not mean that the Navy was just camping in the port during the World War. While the larger ships did not leave the port often, as their mere existence was the base of the strategy, and by that forcing the enemy to maintain a larger, more expensive fleet in the area. The smaller boats were very busy. They were out on the open sea preventing enemy landings or incursions, protecting friendly coastlines. Also, let's not forget that the Navy only can achieve its goal if they have ships. So sending out capital ships for the sake of fighting against a much larger force is a waste of human life and ships. The Austro-Hungarian Admiralty recognized this. Also, they recognize the numerical and technological disadvantage, and that if they lose their ships, they lose control over the strategically important Adriatic Sea. And if they do that, they cannot defend the coastline and prevent Allied access to the Balkans throughout the Adriatic. The mere existence of the Austro-Hungarian fleet, even mostly in port, forced the Allies to maintain a substantial naval presence in the Mediterranean. They couldn't risk detaching a large numbers of ships to other theaters like North Sea for example, without leaving the Adriatic vulnerable. Allied ships had to patrol the Mediterranean, conduct reconnaissance, and be prepared for potential sorties by the Austro-Hungarian fleet. This required manpower, fuel, and resources that could be used somewhere else. While the Austro-Hungarian Navy wasn't a major threat to large Allied convoys in the open Mediterranean Sea, their potential presence required escorts and careful routing, adding to the Allied workload. The Austro-Hungarian Navy did possess submarines and smaller surface combatants, which were harassing Allied shipping and coastal areas. This necessitated the defensive measures, which again meant burning up resources which could be used somewhere else. The Austro-Hungarian Navy, by adopting a fleet-in-being strategy, successfully tied down a significant Allied presence in the Mediterranean even without engaging in a major battle. And this was a huge indirect effort to the war which often overlooked or ignored. So back to the original question, was the Austro-Hungarian Navy useless during World War I? No, I believe the answer is no. The story of the Austro-Hungarian Navy reminds us that the naval power is not always about ground battles. Sometimes the threat of action can be just as potent as the action itself. I think it's time to reconsider their role and recognize the strategic impact of a fleet that, while often overlooked, still played a crucial part in the Mediterranean theater of World War I. And if you got this far in the video, then thank you very much. I hope you find it informative, and if you're not subscribed to my channel, you could subscribe, you could like my video, share my video, leave a comment, start a discussion in the comment section, and just simply thank you for being here. Bye!